This time last year, the courtyard outside St Paul's Cathedral was a sea of tarpaulin. Since then, the Occupy movement has been evicted, but the campaign against the so-called 1%, the rich, hasn't gone, not by any means. This Saturday marks the start of a new winter of protests in London. One of the main targets will be tax avoiders. Starbucks, along with McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, the latest to be outed as paying tiny amounts of tax on billion-dollar profits in Britain. And only a week after the Conservative Party here announced there would be another $15 billion worth of cuts to public services. Some people here believe that Britain would be almost debt-free if the big corporations paid the amounts of tax that they're supposed to. Whether or not that's true, it is irrefutable that many of them pay a tiny proportion in tax compared to the amount they make in profit, and they also pay a tiny proportion compared to what ordinary people here are expected to pay by the government in the name of rescuing the economy. The government, of course, would say that multinationals also employ people who then pay tax of their own. But what aggravates people so much is that big fish get away with avoiding tax legally in ways that the little man could never do.
Many people will look at the taxes that companies like Starbucks are paying, and it doesn't pass the smell test. It is legal, but then the thing is, they can afford, the accountants, they can afford the lawyers who can find those loopholes. And the problem is that our tax system is so overly complex that even HMRC, they spend so much time trying to administer like this behemoth, this one of the world's most complicated tax codes, that they do struggle to chase down these companies when these kind of avoidance measures start reaching those grey areas.
Faced with a situation in which politicians are seen as either uncaring or complicit with all this, campaigners for fair tax have had little choice but to take on the corporates themselves.
This award right here, it is the Lifetime Achievement Award for services to corporate tax avoidance, otherwise known as the Golden Handshake.
Here they're about to confront a man called Dave Hartnett, the outgoing top taxman in Her Majesty's government. He's been accused of helping Vodafone and Goldman Sachs, among others, avoid huge amounts of tax in the UK.
From obviously us at Vodafone, it saved us billions off our tax bill.
You will depart immediately before we set the dogs on you. You are trespassing, scum. Go.
Big corporates may well regard these campaigners as scum, but like the Occupy movement, they certainly speak for a far greater section of society, which is being asked to take more financial pain and pay every penny in tax, while multinational companies find ways of getting government to look the other way. Lawrence Lee, Al Jazeera, London.